when I talk to companies about outsourcing and you read a lot of articles on the whole topic, kind of the rule of thumb or the simple approach is to, in terms of determining, what do you outsource versus what do you keep in house, is to kind of assemble a strategic team and define what your core competencies are, right? And what they are, what they need to be, and then if something is deemed a core competency, well, that's what we keep in house, and then everything else we kind of outsource, right? Um, is defining core competencies enough? Is there a better approach? What are your thoughts on that?
I tell you, that's a good question. That's a super interesting conversation for me. We could talk about that one all day. I don't think it is enough. I'm going to put my twist on this a little bit, but I don't think it is enough. If we go back to what I said earlier, outsourcing, the decision to outsource is, from where I sit, from my experience out there, is really, it's really about one of four things. It's about cost, it's about flexibility, it's about where you're going to allocate your capital to, and potentially it's about improving your service levels. The notion of, and I know this has been going on quite a while now, but the notion of, we're going to outsource that activity that's non-core to us, and we're going to keep the core competency inside. We're going to insource that. We're not going to outsource that. I would really challenge that, and I'll give you a couple of examples. We have the good fortune in Canada of dealing with one of Canada's largest retailers. We have the good fortune in the U.S. Of dealing with one of the U.S.'s largest retailers. If I had a representative from each of those customers online with us here, and I asked them what the core competency is, first and foremost, they would tell me that it's retailing. There's no doubt about that. I think they would also go on to say to us that one of their core competencies is supply chain, and both these companies are incredible, strong supply chain operators. There's no flies on them. They get it. They operate multi-billion-dollar supply chains. So, both of these companies outsource. So we get these larger companies now that would admit to you one of their core competencies is supply chain, but yet they're outsourcing supply chain. So when you ask the question or you talk about do you outsource non-core competencies, probably so, but we also see some customers out there outsourcing their core competencies. So the wrinkle that I want to add to it, and this is our take on it, is that in those two examples, sure, they're great retailers, sure, they're great supply chain operators. Those are absolutely core competencies. But the number 3 core competency that both of these organizations have is their outsourced core competency. And I think that's a big conversation. I mean, both of these organizations are great at outsourcing. They would tell you that that's a core competency. So that's why they're outsourcing their supply chain. So I know that sounds like a lot of double talk, but it's worth thinking about, and we'll talk about it some more, I'm sure. But those that are good at outsourcing from a client's perspective have an absolute core competency for outsourcing.